What's up, guys? Good afternoon. Wait, it's nighttime. Hello, good evening. It's definitely nighttime right now. So I wanted to talk about intimacy. Intimacy. So when I think about intimacy, I think of it this way, break it up. Intimacy. Okay. So when you think about intimacy, it's you're seeing into someone. All right. And so it's a really hot topic. It's kind of a touchy topic. It's hard to dive into. It's uncomfortable for some, right? So I wanted to talk about it in a well-rounded avenue. You can have intimacy in a lot of different ways. You can have intimacy with somebody that you are having sexual relations with. You can have intimacy with your friends platonically. You can have intimacy with your family, your children, even your business partners. And so we need to dive deeper into these relationships and be able to decide, are we doing this in a healthy, confident, and secure way? Is there something where we need to evolve in some sort of way? This is all very much about self-evolution, right? Trying to make yourself better over time. So intimacy, you're seeing into people, you're trying to make yourself better with these relationships. So you might think you're secure in a sort of fashion in these relationships, but if you're continuously failing, right? Let's say you go into a relationship, that fails. You go into another relationship, that fails. You keep failing. Maybe it's not the relationship. Maybe it's you, right? So, and I don't mean that to put anybody down. In fact, I'm talking about myself, quite frankly. So what I mean to say is you might need to grow in some areas that you didn't realize before, okay? And so let's gather our minds around that for a moment. So this might not be a conscious choice of yours, the way that you're handling relationships. In fact, it definitely goes all the way back to your first social relationships, your first social bonds. And so I'm going to use my sister and I as an example because it's the easiest one to point out. My sister and I are very different people. We grew up in the same exact household. We had, the same mom. We had two dads. We have our grandmother that's very close to us. And we grew up in the same way. However, we absorbed it very, very differently. We're very different people. We handle our relationships differently. And so it's not necessarily the people around you that shaped you and made you the way you are. It's how you absorbed those relationships in your early life. Okay, so in your perspective, the way you absorbed that, you might have been missing, reassurance, appreciation, security. Maybe you felt little support. And so this can affect your future relationships. And so as I said, we have very different relationships, even though we were in the same environment. We absorbed things differently, and that affects our current relationships, right? Hi, guys. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say hi. Anyway, so we have to dive into, okay, how are those first social bonds really affecting our relationships now? Okay. And so you might be confident or secure in certain portions of your life. Like, let's say I'm confident and secure in my professional work life and those relationships. There's no intimacy issue there, let's say. There's no intimacy issue with my friends, my platonic friends. Let's say, for example, your issue might be with let's say your family. Like, let's say my children and I had an intimacy issue. I'm struggling connecting with them because my social bonds when I was a child was an issue, let's say. And of course, this is just an example at this point, but you really want to look at each dynamic, each relationship and the dynamics in that. And I invite you to find the patterns. There's patterns all around you. So observe the patterns that are happening. If you continuously have failing relationships, there's something going on more than likely with the way that you're handling that relationship or those types of relationships. And so I'm going to eventually put into the comments a link to this quiz thing. This is not an advertisement, by the way. I just found it really helpful. I'm going to put that in there. And it was a quiz that kind of tells you what type of attachment style you are. You may have already heard of this, but it tells you, are you avoidant? Are you an anxious type? Are you a secure attachment? What type of attachment are you? And then it tells you why. And honestly, I knew these things already, right? But it put it into words and instead of just feelings. And so I invite you to utilize that as a tool too, if you'd like. But again, it's not necessarily a conscious choice. And, as part of your excellence journey, or as part of your journey to evolve and become a better person, I do invite you to look into intimacy. And you might think you don't need emotional intimacy or to rely on other people, and that's fine too. But again, understand that I'm not just talking about sexual relationships here. I'm talking about platonic relationships, the relationships with your children if you have children, the relationships with your family, the relationships with your coworkers. This could apply to any of those relationships that you have. And so again, observe and reflect on those patterns. And so, just working toward on the inside of yourself instead of saying, oh, this didn't work out because of you, the outside person. Sometimes the issues on the outside of yourself are actually a reflection of you. And so you really have to dig deep and think of it in terms of you're trying to build the best you that you can for everyone else around you and yourself. So I'm going to attach that and you guys can utilize it and let me know what you think. Let me know how your journey goes. I do appreciate your time and we will talk soon. Bye.